Greetings! Here's a box that my newest acquisition arrived in, but you already know what's in there. But it is a pretty large box. It weighs 50 pounds. I found this online, and the seller was rather nice, and he delayed shipping for a few days, but he finally contacted me and said, I tried to ship this. I didn't know how to pack it, so I just dropped it off at UPS and had them pack it. And yeah, it's like a hybrid of 3 different boxes. It feels to be about the right weight. Looks to be in good shape. I don't know what's in here, and I don't know whatever's in here. I know what's supposed to be in here, but I don't know what's really in here, and I don't know what shape it's in. But just for grins, I thought I'd show you a picture of the box, and then we'll go through the excruciating detail of removing all packing materials or not. So let's see what's inside. I extracted her from her cocoon, and yes, it's a Korg DSS-1. It was well packed, was actually double boxed, and had bits and pieces of about 8 boxes in there, and lots of bubble wrap, so it was securely packed. Unfortunately, just look at these keys that are drooping and won't even come up. Several of the black keys are like that. So I think the box was impacted pretty heavily on this side. And my hope is that it just dislodged the keys. And there's return springs, and that probably the springs got stuck and stuff like that. So yes, I do hope that that's all it is. Otherwise, I'm going to have a discussion with the seller. But other than that, it's all there. The writing isn't rubbed off or anything. I mean, the cheat sheet is on the panel. There's a display that probably has a bad EL backlight, electroluminescent, but that's about par for the course. And now for the interesting part. There's some sort of a mod in here. There's 2 buttons and 2 LEDs. I have no idea what those are supposed to be, and we won't know more about this until we open her up. I removed a bunch of screws to see if we can open the panel, and it seemed loose, but here's the first time I'm opening it. Come on. And the first thing we see is a bit of cardboard over here. That's going to be interesting. But let's look at the keys. Yep, they're dislodged. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's, can't really see it, but there's a metal piece that acts as a return spring down here, and they just jumped out of whatever these were hooked to. So I hope to be able to just put them back. In order to do that, of course, to get out 1 black key, you have to remove the 2 adjacent white keys, because otherwise it can't travel back and forth. The other interesting part is this cardboard here. Maybe this is a new kind of flex circuit, but whoever installed this, and it looks like there's more cardboard underneath it, but I have no idea what this board does. It's obviously not part of the standard. It is wired to the LEDs and buttons on the front panel. It also goes to an extra 1/4-inch jack that's also non-standard. And then there's some hacking going on in the harness, in the original harness that, you know, takes wires and runs them through to here. We'll have a look at it a little closer later on. I'm not exactly sure what to do with this right now. Other than that, it's standard fare. We got all the PCBs here. There's the smaller PCBs on top, larger one underneath that is partially obscured by the keyboard. We have the rectifier regulator board, and I count a total of 6, what I'm guessing are voltage regulators. There's a transformer. And then we have the boards holding buttons and sliders and top and stuff to the panel. And that's actually nicely done. It's service friendly because you can remove these boards by simply removing the screws that hold them on, and the whole thing will come off. We have some wire clips here that have all dried out and have fallen off. And that's what we have to work with. There also is a floppy drive here, which I'm not too sure is going to work, because that seems to be the one part that dies in most of these. But yeah, that's it, what it looks like, and it's time to finally give it a test. Well, here goes nothing. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh. The display is actually readable. It comes up, which sounds like, I mean, this thing has 2 CPUs. One is for the UI, and the other one is for sound generation. And the display, I mean, and the camera, it looks very readable. Unfortunately, in real life, it is not, because the backlight is completely gone, and you have to look at it just from just the right angle to see it. But it is partially functional. The button is lit up. The buttons seem to respond. Yeah, the buttons seem to be live, but of course, as was disclosed, it doesn't make any sound. It is hooked up to an amp, and the fact that it doesn't make any sound was disclosed by the seller, but that is user error. For oscillators, for the sound that you hear, the raw sound, almost synthesizers is just a voltage controlled oscillator, creates a triangle or saw waveforms, and then that gets processed by the rest of the instrument. This works the same, but it does not have a voltage controlled analog oscillator. It is a sampler. So basically, in order to get sound out of this, you've got to sample something, samples a sound into it, and then that gets used as the oscillator. Well, when the instrument powers up, it zeroes out sample memory, so might be attempting to play something, but it's playing all zeros, and you're not going to hear that. So I remember that you needed disks to load sound, to load samples and stuff for it to make any sort of sound. I don't have any disks for it right now, but there is a way around that. What we need to do is a way, just for testing, to put a waveform into sample memory so it becomes audible. And there are ways to do this. What I got to do is find it in the instruction manual right here. Draw waveform or harmonic synthesis. What we're going to try is drawing a waveform. Create waveform mode. Select one or two. Well, we want to draw a waveform, so we press 1. Draw with slider A, which is here. So what it does is it basically steps through RAM automatically, but you have to move the slider to define the amplitude of the waveform at that point. It's totally inaccurate at best, but this should be an easy way for us to actually insert some sound into the sample part. So I hit enter, and as it's the arrows underneath were basically a pointer to sample memory, and the top blocks basically showed you what you were selecting with the data entry slider. So retry, no. You want to edit the waveform, no. Okay. So now it should make noise. And it doesn't. Well, it does help if you actually plug it into the output of the instrument rather than the mystery quarter-inch plug that was added later on, which I don't even know if there's anything supposed to be coming out of it or going into it. But after doing that, we now have the sound is nothing to write home about, but it works. It does create sound. That is basically the waveform we drew into it. And it has some standard parameters to make sure that you actually get sound out of it. The amplifier is initialized, the filter is initialized, and all of that. But one thing that I did notice was during the data entry portion, where I had to move this slider to tell it what amplitude, to make the current sample, it wouldn't go below a value of 70 or 76. So something's amiss with this slider, and we have to, obviously that's something we have to look at, but the instrument basically works. Well, it makes sound. Oh, and then of course there's one other thing we have to try, and that is to see if the disk drive is any good. So my prediction was that it doesn't work, but let's give it a disk. Go to disk utility and select format disk, which is 0. Insert disk and enter. Are you sure? I don't know. Maybe yes. So I can hear the drive doing stuff. It's going to take a while, but the way it works is it's just going to format the disk, and notice that it didn't even try to read the disk or anything like that. So I think if you put in a disk with valuable data on it, this will just happily go and overwrite it. Well, it's still stepping, and it's not telling you anything. I mean, at least they should have put the track number or something like that on it, but let's see what it ends up doing. I guess I was wrong. It formatted and verified. And now we can take the stuff we've created, which still works, and basically save that. In the nomenclature of this, you go to System, and you have to deselect the disk. Disk utility, set the system, put it into system mode, and then select Save System. So now, are you sure? Yes. Yep. It's doing something. And it's done. Now, of course, to make really sure that this worked, we have to power cycle it and see if it loads the beautiful sound we just created off of disk. Remember, the samples are on the disk, and when you start this, sample memory is empty. Okay, now let's double check this. What we're going to do is power it down, hop on our right foot, hope the capacitors discharge, and then turn it on. Comes back on, which is very nice. But just like before, it initializes sample memory. Nothing is happening. So all we need to do now is tell it to get system, and we are sure. Oh, the disk, I took out the disk. But yeah, the minute you put the disk in, I guess, oh, there you go. I touched the key by mistake, but so the disk drive is functional, but I do need to take it out, clean it, and lube it. Next, let's see if we can put these guys back in place. And as I mentioned, we need to remove the white keys first. The best way I found to do this is you push it back, you spread the tabs, and magic comes out. Here's what the return springs look like. Now, I know I make it look easy, but it took me a while to figure out how to do this without, the plastic's kind of brittle, so you have to be very careful. But same thing again, we push on it, spread the tab gently. If I can get the screwdriver to cooperate. And there. We don't really have to worry about where the keys go because they're marked over here. So let me do that. and see how far I have to go. I have to go this. I have to remove everything up to and including the D. With the white keys removed, yeah, we can see that these are completely loose. Their springs are still in place. This one's, but this last hook part came out. So now all we got to do is put them back in. This keyboard needs to be cleaned. But in order to do that, I will probably remove the entire key bed so I can get to clean the actual switches too. So let's see if this is going to cooperate. So far, no. Oh, that's because that is a bit of a pain here, because you have to make sure that the spring is aligned and you don't dislodge it. Fixed. I'll just put back all the keys, and then we'll make sure that the entire keyboard is functional. All the keys are back in, no damage. It gets a little fiddly putting the white keys back in, because those return springs don't want to stay in place. But patience and time, and everything's back. So let's see if all of the keys work. They do. All right, what are we going to do next? Well, as it turns out, there's still a good number of things that need to be fixed. Nothing else that's super major, but one thing we definitely need to do is loading a factory disk and testing it with that. One of the outputs is very crackly and distorts, but you can get rid of that if you hold the plug just right. Buttons are a bit lazy. The display needs to be replaced. I still need to figure out exactly what this mod does. So I think this is a good time to end this episode, and we'll continue in the next one.